Hi, this is Emily, the Audi nerd. The wait is finally over. The Q4 e-tron is here. The Audi Q4 e-tron is Audi's first vehicle on the MEB platform. The MEB platform is a platform that was designed from the ground up specifically for electric vehicles. MEB, the rough German to English translation, is Modular Electrification Toolkit. There are currently 3 models that are on this platform. It is the Volkswagen ID.4, both the rear-wheel drive and the all-wheel drive, the Audi Q4 e-tron, the rear-wheel drive, all-wheel drive, and the Q4 Sportback, and it also includes the Skoda Enyaq. However, here in the United States, we only get to see the Volkswagen and Audi cars. This Audi Q4 e-tron we have with us here today is a 50 all-wheel drive. It is also in the Prestige trim level. This one is a 2022, and then we have heard there may be some slight changes for 2023. We do not know yet what those are. So today I'm going to go over the things that are on the 2022 and things we will likely be seeing on the 2023s and up. This Q4 has 295 horsepower and goes from 0 to 60 in 5.8 seconds. It has a top speed of 112 miles an hour. All of the Q4s share the same 82 kilowatt hour battery. The differences are just going to be between in the motors. The rear motor is a permanently excited synchronous motor and cannot be switched off and comes on the all-wheel drive and the rear-wheel drive. When you upgrade to the all-wheel drive version, you get an asynchronous motor in the front, which can be switched off and has high regeneration capability. Now I thought it'd be fun to pop the hood so you can take a look under here, because I'm sure you're expecting to see some of the electric motors, which this is not the electric motor, so it's not one of those. And there's no storage up here. The reason why this is able to be opened is we need to add some windshield washer fluid. It's right there, but the rest of this is meant to be covered. We have heard rumors that the 2023s will have some sort of cover over all of the rest of this, but that has not been confirmed yet. The design of the Q4 e-tron is very unique. As you see, it does carry the Audi's classic single frame grille, and we now finally have a name for this silver. It's called selenite silver. It has a lot of really cool e-tron things to it. You can see the e-tron down here, the inverted single frame to let you know that it's an EV. Coming along, it's got all of these ways that it's pushing all of the air this way to be extremely aerodynamic and have a low rolling resistance, so it's easier to coast in this vehicle. Coming along to the bottom, you'll see, again, huge vents pushing the air in different directions, and then you have your parking sensors 1, 2, 3, and 4. This right here is the punch, as I call it, because on this 2022 model, for whatever reason, there is no front camera, but we have heard on the 2023s or sometime thereafter, they will be bringing back the full 360 camera. Coming up just a little bit, you will see these Audi rings here. They are very interesting, may look a little bit different because they have been coated over and they're no longer just the individual ring. It's one flat piece all the way along for less drag. Moving up just a little bit, you'll see these really cool DRLs. It's got this funny little design. Well, it gets even better because on the Q4 e-tron, on the Prestige, like this one, you can adjust it and you have 4 different options. Let me show you here. To the side here, there are 3 different wheel options for the Q450. This one is a standard wheel on the Prestige trim. You'll notice the front brakes are 14.1-inch disc brake. I'm sure you've heard the rumors about the rear drum brakes. That is true, and the reason for the rear drum brakes is because on the EV, they take in most of the regeneration in the front, and because the low center of gravity, it's all set up to be that way. And if we don't use the rear brakes, then they squeak and they corrode and they cause more maintenance. This way, you have maintenance-free rear brakes. On all of Audi's e-tron vehicles, there is what's called a noise generator, which is for pedestrian awareness of the vehicle because there's no engine, so you can't hear it coming. On the Q4 e-tron, there are 2 main noise generators, one in the front and one along the driver rear. Now moving up from down here, we have the sculpted mirrors. You'll notice they have really clean lines in it for low drag as it comes all the way along. You'll also notice the really sharp angle that is on the windshield. It's a much sharper angle due to having less drag to go all the way over the top. And the Q4 has a really cool PVB filament overlaid in the windshield to allow for better optimization of the augmented reality heads-up display. Continuing along, the Q4 e-tron battery sits right along in between the 2 axles, and there is no cutout for the footwells like there is in the e-tron GT. Coming along back here, you'll notice this panel, which seems quite out of place on e-tron vehicles. This is where you actually charge your Q4. There's no option for 2 charging ports. There's only one. Level 1 and level 2 use the standard, and then pull this out for your level 3 charging. And put it back in, close the door, just like any standard Audi gas cap. The Q4 is the first vehicle in Audi's A segment with the full line all the way across for the taillights. It's a really cool view, and if you notice, they're starting to include some of the clear stuff along the bottom. I'm really excited to see on what other cars they put that on next. A very small detail that I noticed that most people wouldn't notice or care about is the fact that now the Audi rings are no longer in that matte silver color that they have been on every other e-tron. They are now going back to the classic glossy look. The Q4 e-tron shares with a lot of the other e-tron vehicles in their back stylings. You'll see it has some vents here which kind of simulate maybe it has exhaust, but it really doesn't because it's an e-tron. If you look just slightly up, you'll see the e-tron embossed right here in the back bumper. You do have 4 proximity sensors along the rear as well, 1 on each side and then 2 in the middle. The e-tron is actually unique because the only place we'll notice if it's a Quattro or not is right here on the back emblem. There is nothing in the front grille or inside on the dash. We just got this vehicle and I haven't yet had the chance to try the hands-free release tailgate, so let's try it now. Ah, first try, got it! Well, I see they've gotten some stuff figured out. First try, worked like a charm. The Q4 has a huge rear trunk with 18.4 cubic feet of storage with the seats up, and with the seats down, it has 52.6 cubic feet of storage. It does come standard with the rear privacy right back here. There are options for floor mats if you want them, and there's a really cool trick up its sleeve. If you come in a little bit closer, it has a lower rear deck where you can store things like your charger. The charger that comes with it is standard Audi charger. You have level 1, level 2 attachment, and then the car's attachment with the transformer. I also did stow the floor mats that came with the vehicle underneath here, and as you can tell, there's still tons more room. Pretty usable, and the nice part is you can flip it all down, and it's like it's never even been in there. The Q4's trunk is also programmable to different heights, so if you push the button to release it down, let's say that height is better, you would press and hold on the button and wait, and that noise has let you know it's been reset to max to that height. When you want to reset it back to max height, push it all the way back up to max. Once you've reached that, press and hold, and it has been reset back to max height. All right, now let's take a look at the interior. You know the drill. Let's see how I fit. I'm 5'5"3/4", and the front seat has been adjusted for my husband, who's a little bit over 6 feet tall. So coming in, and you'll also get to take a look at the Santos Brown interior. You can see it's actually a lot darker than most of the browns offered by Audi. Very similar to the Nougat Brown, which has been discontinued. Seeing back here, oh my gosh, I have loads of room, tons of room in front of my knees. I'd say this is pretty similar to what it feels like in at least a Q7. Back here there is climate control, plus and minus fan speed, and there are 2 USB-Cs and a 12-volt beneath that. There's plenty of headroom up top up here. I have almost nearly half a foot above me. Plenty of headroom, especially for someone who's tall. It has been sculpted to allow for more room behind the sunroof because the sunroof comes to just about halfway through at the end of the seat right here. Audi has finally listened to the United States market of us wanting cup holders and bigger cup holders. So they put a water bottle holder in every single door pocket. It fits a 1.5 liter water bottle, and there's still ample room back here. And in the back seat, there's the pull down with additional cup holders in the middle of the back seat. But there's even more in the front, so let's go take a look. Now in the interior of the Q4 e-tron, you'll notice some things right away look very different compared to other Audis. You notice the steering wheel looks totally out of the future. This is the new generation of the Audi steering wheel. You notice up here it has the flat rings like the front of the vehicle. You'll see you've got 2 different sides of buttons, and they look a little bit different and kind of shiny because they're actually totally touch haptic. So you can swipe, and you can either push individual buttons. Like notice I turned on the radio and turn the volume down just by swiping, or there's the buttons beneath it. Notice the heated steering wheel up here. You got your phone button, you have your speak button. Moving over to the side, you can swipe through different things on the center of the center screen up there. See how I'm zooming, just using my finger. Zooming in through there. You have the back button as per usual, the view button, so you can have large or small icons up in the virtual cockpit. You'll see this button here where you can add additional items over on the side. So this panel still adjusts the virtual cockpit. The virtual cockpit is slightly smaller in the Q4 e-tron than we've seen in other vehicles. However, it's still comparable size considering what you're using it to do. Now, as I mentioned, with the S-Line package, you can have the flat bottom and the flat top. The reason why the flat top's a thing is because for the augmented reality heads-up display with the flat bottom, it allows you to move the steering wheel up further and still have perfect view of the augmented reality heads-up. The MMI is mostly unchanged from previous vehicles, however it is slightly bigger in size. So you can see all the different icons swiping down. There is the option for the heads-up display button where you can easily access it and adjust the height and the items that are in the heads-up display. This is very important because it is extremely dependent on exactly how the seating is positioned for each person. Since it is such a large heads-up display compared to the previous generation, the new one is actually 15.2 liters in size, where the previous generation, or the standard heads-up display, was just 4.2 liters. So totally different, totally larger, but this way make sure to adjust it every single time, and these adjustments will save to the seat memory, which is available over on the side. Moving down to the HVAC, this is the HVAC in the A3 and the e-tron GT. Extremely easy to use. You'll notice there's no button for ventilated seats, as that is not an option on the Q4 e-tron. Moving down to this panel down here, this one's actually unique and it's new for the Q4, where it completely sticks out and you have storage underneath. There's the 2 USB-Cs and your 12 volt, and even a wireless charger on this unique angle with the clip to hold it in place. Moving back up, you can see this panel as we were discussing. You have your drive select button here, you have your hazard lights, your traction control, and this is where you can adjust the volume and to skip tracks. You can also turn off the MMI screen holding the button here for 2 seconds. Moving over, you have your start-stop button. However, the start-stop button is not used very much in the Q4 because once you have the key on you, you get in the vehicle and put your foot on the brake, the car will start automatically. And then when you are done, you put it back in park, and you just take your foot off the brake and the vehicle will turn off. You don't have to do anything. Moving back over here, up for reverse, back down for neutral as per normal, bring it all the way back for D or B mode. D and B mode, specifically B mode, is unique to the Q4 e-tron. We've heard a lot of people, they really want that one pedal drive feel, which is why we designed the B mode. B mode is battery mode and it has the highest level of regeneration. On the Q4 there are 3 main levels of regen. There's level 0, which means 0 regeneration of any kind. Level 1, which is 0.06 G. Level 2 is 0.1 G. Level 3 or B mode is 0.16 G. You can adjust the regeneration by either putting it in B mode for maximum regeneration or on the paddles up here on the steering wheel. There is the full wood grain along this top here, and as I mentioned earlier, there's no Quattro here where it is on other vehicles. It just says e-tron. There are 2 larger normal size cup holders right here in the front. This is the new key design. This will also be used on the Q4 e-tron. There's no little nook to put the key as there are in some other Audis, but it does fit still right along here. And this is where you'd put the key. If the key fob battery was dead, it would still be able to sense it. In here, there's still a pretty decent size cargo capacity in there. And as I mentioned, you can fit really big water bottles in these side pockets in the door. So this is the standard full 1 liter bottle, and it fits up to a 1.5 liter bottle. You can fit that right there in the door, and you still have the room beneath that in the door pockets. The touch controls for the sunroof are different because they're actually fully touched. So this is the controls for the panoramic sunroof. This is just the shade. And then to open it, you would pull back like this. When you wanted to close it again, pull forward. And when you want to vent, just touch it like that. And then again, pull forward to turn it off. You have lights on both sides for driver and passenger. And there is also the icon for if you want to have that on when the vehicle has any of the doors open, that corresponding light will turn on. This is also where you would turn on all the lights inside the cabin, turning any of those off. And then over here is where you would call for roadside assistance, and this is your SOS button. Now taking a closer look at the seats on the interior, this is the Santos Brown interior, but it does have the gray contrasting stitching. You'll also see the gray Dynamica along the sides here, which give it a really cool feel, and it's nice to kind of rest your arms up against it, so when you're sitting like this or using any of the armrests, it isn't that seam right there, so it's nice and comfortable and soft when you're resting for a more comfortable driving position. To set up the augmented reality heads-up display, you can use things either the adaptive cruise control, it will display the vehicle in front of you, or you can set up a navigation route. So I've set up a navigation route. Now if I move forward, you'll be able to see that blue arrow will guide me towards the road. So it's mentioning going this way, coming all the way along, and see how it's moving. And it keeps guiding me. It's very cool because there are 2 different levels of it. You can see this front one, that's about 10 feet in front of me, and the second one, which is further back, that's about 30 feet or so in front of me, and it's 2 very different setups for both of them. As I come up here to the stop, it'll allow me, you can see down there, it'll tell me how many feet until the stop sign, it'll tell me if I'm in between the lanes, and it'll also tell me the mile per hour. So as I'm coming up to the stop sign here, you'll see there are 3 other arrows. It'll tell me right down there by the stop sign where that stop sign is. And then it'll signal to that way, 3 long arrows, meaning go to the left. Now as I make the turn, you'll notice the arrows swipe along with you, swiping all the way along until they disappear. And as you're maintaining a straight road, it'll tell you how long until your next turn. You'll see that down there at the bottom. And then you won't see the arrows come on until you are getting close to your next turn. If you're getting close to the center line or on the other side, it'll put that red line there to guide you where the correct line would be. You can do that, and it's a gentle guidance. It's not quite as abrupt or invasive as it used to be. It only gently tugs the steering wheel. It is something that's easily overrideable. You can see those 3 arrows there guiding you along through that corner. You can see the arrow popping up to let you know that right up there, that will be where we are going to be turning. You will see as you get closer, the arrow will get bigger and zoom over to where it's supposed to be. It's kind of cool to see that animation. You can see the big 3 arrows, and they swipe with you, and then they go away after you've made the turn. So I'm sure we're all familiar with the virtual reality, which are those virtual reality goggles or different programs that you can get into, and what it does is it take you out of reality completely. But the augmented reality is what uses reality behind you as the backdrop, and it overlays a virtual world over the top of it. So that's how you get the different interactions of the symbol up above, where it can display it right beneath the car or right at the correct turn. It overlays them together. And I gotta say, after driving it for a few days now, Audi did a pretty great job, and it fits together seamlessly. The one caveat is it does not work with Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. You would have to use it with the navigation built into the MMI. And the augmented reality heads-up display also does not work if you use polarized sunglasses, the same with any other heads-up display. Thanks for watching my video on the Audi Q4 e-tron. I'm so excited that it's finally here. I'm really excited to put in some other orders and finally get to see a Q4 Sportback in the coming months. Thanks for watching. If you have any other questions about this vehicle or other vehicles, please leave it in the comments. Thanks for watching.